Negative thoughts can be all-consuming, causing unnecessary stress and anxiety in our daily lives. It's important to learn how to turn off negative thoughts and shift our focus to positive thinking. In this podcast, we'll explore practical strategies to help you break the cycle of negative thinking and improve your mental well-being.
Hey, we're Brit and Chris Carmichael, and you're listening to the Elevated Life Podcast. Throughout the 16 years we've been together, we've never ceased in our endless quest to better ourselves.
We've studied top experts, philosophers, and gurus. After years of personal self-experimentation and working with thousands of clients, we've found the tools for shifting your beliefs, moving through fears, and developing a positive mindset that aligns with your authenticity, integrity, and soul purpose, regardless of your past.
If you're ready for a breakthrough, then you're in the right place, because we're here to empower you to take control of your life with simple mindset shifts that create radical transformation.
We'll be diving into topics like personal growth, health, philosophy, spirituality, relationships, success, and mindfulness. We don't shy away from the taboo topics like sex, hypnosis, meditation, and exploring altered states of consciousness.
So create some space for yourself and get comfy. It's time to become the badass you were born to be. I will never forget the time Chris asked me, "Hey babe, do you talk to yourself?" My answer, no. Yeah, right, no way. Only to realize, I don't even know how many months or weeks later it was, I'm getting ready for work one day, I'm putting my clothes on, and all of a sudden I hear, "Oh my God, I'm so fat. Oh my God, I do talk to myself. Holy shit, I've been talking to myself this whole time and it's not pretty." And that's when I realized I needed to do a serious mental makeover.
You know, I think for so many of us, we don't realize the impact that our own thoughts have on us. Mostly because instead of witnessing the thoughts or instead of becoming aware of the thoughts, what we instead do is we just let them run our lives. So whatever our predominant thoughts are, that tends to be the way that we live. And it's interesting that if you want, you brought up something I think is really cool. It's fascinating. If you want someone to become aware of something, you don't tell them it. You ask them if they're aware of it. And you asking them makes their mind immediately begin to work on it. So I wasn't telling Britt, "Hey, you talk to yourself and this is what's going on in your head." I'm saying, "Hey,
you crazy girl."
Do you talk to yourself?" That's it. And that's as subtle as so much of the help that we give others can be.
That's patient seed planting right there.
You're just asking questions. Like, that's the way that you really help people. You let them come to their own answers. We are not people to give other people answers. We are here to ask people really great questions.
I also feel like if you're a projector or something in human design, I think that's the type that has to wait to be invited.
Yeah, which is you're getting them to the dance early on. It's like you're allowing them to be there before they're even ready to be there, and it gives them something to work on. It gives the mind something to work on. I think we ought to constantly be in a way where allowing our mind to work behind the scenes that we don't have to actually interact with it.
So in one of the Elevated Life masterclasses that we taught inside the club, we shared that you have up to 90,000 thoughts per day, and most of them are sadly negative.
Yeah, the really important part about this is the fact that why do we have so many negative thoughts? And for most of us, it's been the way that we've been programmed our entire lives. Think about it. Your parents had to yell at you every time you went to stick the fork in the light socket. Every time you are running rowdy, every time you're screaming in the house, every time you're going bananas, your parents told you no. And so your whole life, you've heard no and no and no. It's been constant. We have so many rules that we abide by. So much of that childlike creativity becomes stifled because it's a box of no's. And so later on in life, guess what most of your brain gets filled with? It's no. In the longer form of that, it's something that's negative. It's something that you've been programmed to believe, because oftentimes when we're in a failure state, where we're actually at a spot in our life where we've prepared for something, or we get embarrassed, or we feel this massive guilt or fear, especially in front of people, what happens is that moment solidifies our personality because it's extremely charged emotionally. Our subconscious mind just goes, "Oh my gosh, let me accept it because I'm fired up." So anytime you've been in that, anytime you've been in a breakup situation, anytime you've lost a job, and what happened in that short period right after that, all that anger that came out, all that just rage that came out, a lot of times the subconscious just grabs onto that. And so it says next time when you get into a relationship, it throws up these huge barriers and goes, oh my gosh, we've been here before. Let's go ahead and do the Mayday now. I see this coming in, the ship's coming in, but we're not going to get on that ship. We're not going to have this relationship. We're not going to have that job. And so oftentimes it's our negative thoughts that continuously stop us. And so we have to figure out a way how to keep them at bay. There's going to be some that we need that protect us, but for the most part, if you really think about what your goals are in life, if you think about what the big values are, what your big just long-term dreams are, you know what's really standing in your way? It's what you think. It's what you think about your life, what you think about your capabilities, what you think about what happens once you'll be there, what you think about how hard the work's going to be, how long it's going to take, how much it's going to cost, which is involved in everything. But you have these thoughts that go around in your head, and for many of us, they're invisible because we have this cool part about our mind that's the rational system. And so whatever we say in our brain, we have something that automatically rationalizes it. That's why we're always talking about on here the importance of a mentor, the importance of a coach, because you don't get it. You don't get it in your own life because you got the blinders on. The coach, the mentor, the friend, the partner, the somebody who's at your side in your mastermind, they're the ones who are going to say, hey, that's crazy what you're saying right there. That's a little wild. Let's reel you back in for a second. Let's bring you right back down to earth. Let's talk about this for a minute. It's that person that can prompt you. But there are a few things that you can really do on your own.
So the first way that you can turn off negative thoughts is to challenge the thought. Once you have the awareness that you have a negative thought, begin to challenge it by asking a question. Where did this come from? How do I know this to be true? By asking these questions, it automatically puts your mind at work to discover the root cause of these beliefs. And once you realize that the beliefs that you're constantly repeating to yourself don't even belong to you, what I found in doing hypnosis work with Chris and a forgiveness meditation is that phrase, I'm fat, that I was telling myself actually came from a story that happened when I was 8 years old and my uncle called me Brickney as a joke when he picked me up, as a way to say, haha, you're heavy. And in that moment, I created the belief that I was fat. And it wasn't until I started questioning and challenging that story. Well, why do I think I'm fat? I'm actually not. I went from a size 17 to a size 6 and I'm over here telling myself I'm fat. Where did this belief come from?
You know, it's really important to dig back these beliefs. It's really important to challenge them. And what I really like to do is that any type of belief that doesn't serve you is what you should be challenging. Like that's what you should be looking for. The second that you hear yourself, once you've become aware of, hey, I am talking to myself, there are things that I say from time to time or all the time, is the stuff that you're saying really helping you get on with your life, get on with your dreams? Is it helping relax you? Is it helping you feel good or motivate you when you need it? It's always to ask that. There are a couple of really big things to look for. The first phrase that you'll say is always, and the second phrase that you'll say is never. These are big generalizations. Anytime you say, well, I never am the lucky person, or I always struggle when I do this. When you have those two things that are happening, it's time to challenge them. The second that you hear yourself say either of those, you should have something that goes off in your brain that goes, oh, wait. It's time to challenge. How do I know that to be true? Is there somebody else who's done it before? You start asking those questions. The other trick that I want to leave you with before we move on to the next one is the fact that you can really cheat by doing this. And one way that I like to do this is, why am I so smart right now? Why do I look so good today? Why do I feel so great inside? I'm asking my brain. I'm not giving any answers. All I'm saying is why, or how's this day going to go so great? You know, it's doing those kind of things, and you immediately begin to shift because your brain starts looking for the answers that you're asking for. And rather than allowing whatever is the normal pattern to go through, when you ask these questions, it gives your brain something new. So it's a new ball for it to go out and fetch rather than constantly going out and getting that same one over and over again. You go, hey, look, I picked up this really fancy ball now. This one's called the Why Do I Look So Good? I'm going to chunk that out a few times. Let's see what you grab this time. And what ends up happening is you start to feel so much better.
So once you've challenged that negative thought that you've become aware of, the second thing that you can do is to reframe it. Once we start to figure out the root cause, we can disconnect from the emotional hold that it has on you and reframe it with something more positive. For me, my example from I'm fat turned to I'm beautiful, I'm loving, I'm kind, I'm creative. And in the beginning, it felt very uncomfortable and very icky, like this is not even true, I don't believe this. But just as you can make a bad habit, you can make a good one. And with consistency and reframing all negative thoughts that come up, it allows you to literally shift the neural synapses in your mind to recreate a new pathway and a new belief system. This is one of the lessons I teach inside of Shine School, and it's doing a 24-hour inner mean girl dialogue check to see if there's anything that you're saying to yourself from now until the 24-hour countdown hits. What does that inner world look like? What does your inner dialogue sound like? Are you 90% negative and 10% positive? Are you the opposite? Are you mostly positive but occasionally have that negative thought pop up? Take a moment to do that mental inventory and challenge yourself over the next 24 hours to reframe any negative thoughts that pop up.
I love this part, and I feel like it's so eye-opening because we started doing this years ago. I mean, we started doing the negativity fast. We started really checking up on ourselves about what we're thinking about, what we're talking about. So much of that, also what we're consuming in terms of media, in terms of any kind of TV, radio, anything, any kind of conversations with other people. We started to really check as to what is going on in our life. And I will tell you that I am amazed at how many people are mean to themselves. They're just so mean. And it is not just people who are down. It's not people who just you would think of. I find some of the most successful people that I know, some of the most beautiful people that I know, some of the most kind people, they just whooping themselves the whole day. I mean, it is brutal what's going on inside that head. And people ask me, like, how are you so calm? Well, I don't spend 80-90% of the day beating myself up. I just decided I don't want to do that anymore. And so one of the things that you can really start to do is our third tip here. And that is visualize it. And to me, this is one of the biggest parts, because a lot of times, whatever you've programmed in your mind or whatever's been programmed by teachers or other authority figures, that's been there for a long time. And the way to start to correct it is to start seeing new possibilities in your mind. This is one of the big reasons why we're always talking about get around people, because whatever you think you can't do, you got to get around somebody who's done it. There's plenty of success stories out there. I mean, there are plenty of people who have done exactly what you're trying to do, and it's so important for you to find them, bring them into your life, get out to events, come out to, if you love what we're doing over here, come out to some of our events. There's so many people out there who allow you to have a great space. So when you start visualizing, what you want to be doing is having it intentional. You want intentional visualization, and the way that you start doing this is 5 minutes every morning. You commit to saying, for 5 minutes each morning when I wake up, I'm going to visualize what I want in life. Just for 5 minutes. Visualize the car I want to drive, the house I want to live in, how my health is.
How you want to feel.
Everything. Just start visualizing what your dream life. And really, you don't have to go out and be crazy. You don't have to live in a castle. You don't have to look like Brad Pitt or whatever's big for you. It can just be better. Right? And as your mind grabs onto we're not going to be the same anymore, because the visualization is powerful. This whole daydream state that we get into, especially when we'll relax our breathing a little bit, especially when we'll calm down, we'll do this in a private area. And if you've got kiddos, go out to your car, go be in a place where you can sit and you can relax. If you can be in nature, that's even better. Just breathe for a moment, just breathe and relax, and then close those eyes down and start letting the visuals come in. In the beginning, what you want to do is control it. Let the visuals come in and be exactly what you want to think. And then after a while, let the visuals do what they want to do. Let that success and everything be a part of your mind. What you're doing is reprogramming. If you've had all these visualizations over and over again for years about how you won't succeed, about how if you get up in front of people, they'll laugh at you, or anything like that, if you've done that, what you're going to have to do now is to redo those visualizations so your brain has something new to pick up on. And once you do it enough times, it accepts that as the new reality. The old one will always be there, but the new reality you'll end up grabbing toward more often. You'll say, nah, I like the outcomes that's happening with this new stuff. And your brain will start to figure it out and go, ooh, let's supercharge this. Let's add on this other thing that we've been having trouble with. Let's add on this other thing that's been bothering us for years. And it starts to make your life so much easier.
One cool trick that Chris has taught me in his hypnosis work is that when you want to get a negative thought out of your mind, because sometimes sadly enough, we replay those bad movies over and over and over again like a broken record. But if you wouldn't watch a bad movie twice, why do we seem to do it to ourselves with our negative thinking? One of the things that Chris has taught me that's been so powerful that works, and I'll simplify it for you. All you have to do is imagine that negative thought and drain it of the color. Make it black and white, and then shrink it down to a tiny little postage stamp, and then send it all the way out of your mind. That way you're actually eliminating the thought from your brain space and not allowing it to take up a big portion of it. One thing you might even try when we're creating more awareness and challenging these negative thoughts is, how do you visualize the negative thoughts? Are they very big and take up the whole space in your mind or the whole space in the room? Are they tiny? Are they off to the left or to the right? Are they right out in front of you? Like, where are you visualizing? And start to get more creative with your clarity and understanding on how you operate.
Brit's diving into some golden nuggets right here. So what we don't realize, once you come to terms with the fact that you can listen to the thoughts, you can pay enough attention to where you're saying, oh, I'm telling that to myself. The next part about it is being able to control it, which a lot of people don't realize they can do. And a lot of people will tell you, well, you can't control your thoughts. And those people just don't know how. What you can do is you can manipulate what the image looks like Brit's talking about. You can move it around. You can change the colors. You can make it dimmer. You can make it brighter. You can make it darker. You can do whatever you want. You can move it around in your head. You can throw it off the screen. You can bring it bigger on the screen, whatever. Same thing you can do with the sounds. Like if you hear certain sounds, you hear yourself say something or you hear a voice say something, which a lot of people do. Same way. You can manipulate the sound. You can make it higher pitch, lower pitch, slow down, speed up.
Minnie Mouse.
Whatever you want to do. Whatever changes it for you. So I like these practices because they're going to be a little different for everybody. And I'm one of those people who gets excited about the details. I love when I'm hearing someone's strategy for something especially that I've been teaching or doing for 20 plus years, and then watch them go, hey, I did it this way and it worked really well. And I go, I've never thought about that before. So all these techniques that we're talking about, while there's a system to them, it's always going to be unique for you. So figure out what works in your visual pattern. Figure out what works, the voices that are going on in your head, whatever it is that you're telling yourself. Find out if you say different things, do you get a different response back? You've got to have this dialogue. When people talk about self-discovery and knowing themselves, this is how you know yourself. It's not like, oh, well,
what's my favorite flavor of ice cream?
Like none of that stuff really matters, right? That only matters if you're at Pachugo or somewhere like that, right? Like none of that is really that important. What really does matter is, how are you dealing with the images that are going on in your head? How are you dealing with your feelings when they come up? And then how are you dealing with the sounds that you hear? And when you can control those three things, and even a little bit, and I don't mean you have to have them, wrapped around your finger. What you want instead is to become friends with them. This is not some sort of like you cage all your thoughts and you only think thoughts of success and the only thought that enters your mind is positivity. That's stupid. What you want to be doing instead is allowing yourself the full life experience. Allowing yourself to feel all of the emotions, but never be swayed by them. Never come into a place where you sink with one emotion for too long. And that can be happiness too. Happiness can be detrimental when it's overloaded all the time. We hear about plenty of people with dopamine syndrome where they've experienced too much at once for too long and it sucks now. And so we have to figure out how to deal with all these emotions, and so many of emotions being negative. Find out what you need specifically. Find out when X emotion comes up, you need to do Y to relax, and have a system for all of those. You shouldn't be figuring this out on the fly. You won't be able to be there. You'll be too in the emotion. You'll be too in the thought or too in the visualization. And so instead, have a plan. Okay, when I feel this way, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to think about these things. I'm going to breathe in this way. I'm going to relax. I'm going to challenge those thoughts. I'm going to reframe them. I'm going to visualize them in the way that they should be. And if you have problems with this, has this been a big deal for you? If like self-confidence and the negative thoughts and all those kind of things have been, you're like, dude, well, I got to have more of this. I wish that I want to build this up for myself. Come join us. Come join us this month. We're teaching a live masterclass on self-confidence. And this is going to be like that power packed. This is going to be one of those where you're becoming friends with yourself again, where you're liking yourself. You're not trying to change. You're saying, Dad, I like myself so damn much. I feel like if anything got put in front of me, I could tackle it. I could knock it down. I could hug it. I could do whatever I wanted to do. Obstacles don't exist. Like that's what it's like when you feel confident. You feel like your dreams just become 100% easier. You remove all the blocks. You remove all those negative thoughts, all the things that you've been thinking, all the things that people have told you, all that goes away. And you just say, well, what am I here for? and what am I showing up to do? So if that's you and you've been having problems with these, come join us. This is something we can handle. The live masterclass is going to be off the chain.
Yeah, every second Tuesday of the month, we go live inside the club, and we'd love to extend a trial deal for you as our podcast listener. So if you want to join us in the club and access this live masterclass plus 60 others that we've recorded over the last 6 years, yoga and meditation, you can sign up at theelevatedlifeclub.com/trial. So when we talk about conscious co-creation of our life, we have to take responsibility for that co-part. And that has a lot to do with the stories that we tell ourselves and the visuals that we focus on. You know, they say what you focus on tends to be realized. So make sure that you're in control of putting in good thoughts and good feelings, because you do have the power. I hope you've enjoyed this. If so, tag us on Instagram at The Elevated Life Club. Share it, spread it to your friends, and keep the good vibes going. And until then, we'll catch you next week.
Peace.
Thanks so much for tuning in to the Elevated Life podcast. If you loved this episode, please share that love by leaving us a 5-star review and spreading the good vibes on social. You can tag us at The Elevated Life Club. Want more wisdom from us? Become an elevator by joining us inside our monthly membership club at theelevatedlifeclub.com to discover mindset upgrades, lifestyle hacks, and spiritual tools to elevate your soul.
Each month features a live group coaching masterclass, guided meditations, yoga practice, and more to help you transform your life one step at a time.
It has all the tools, coaching, and community you need to level up, progress every month, and keep going in every area of your life consistently over the long term.
Join us in the club and start your transformation today by signing up at theelevatedlifeclub.com.